Hello, I'm a little bit way late today. Sorry about that. But let's start our talk. Um, Love thy neighbor and don't be a doormat in the process. My name is Steph Skupin. You know me as the creator and main posting person in ZenVetMet. And I am working with people, veterinarians and other people who find that they have suffered enough in their lives and who want to be more clear about who they are so that they can make better choices in life for yourselves. So today's talk, love thy neighbor and don't be a doormat. When you think about what we know about our cats, right? It's the way of the cat. They're really appreciative. They're really cuddly. They're like, most of them really love hanging out with you. Unless they've got something better on, then they don't. And they're not going to feel guilty about it. They're not going to feel obliged to hang out with you. They give you their full love and attention when you're there and when they want dinner and when they want a warm place in the bed. And when they're ready to go out, off they go, right? They also don't take it badly if you throw them off the bed. Or if you don't give them food, they'll just ask again and ask again until the slow human finally gets it. But there's no bad feelings about it. So I'm talking about inside outside cats. So inside cats can be a little bit more dependent on us, just simply because their area of their living area is not as big and doesn't have that much entertainment for them. So they are more dependent on us for entertainment. And so they take up more of our mannerisms. And they can act a little bit less independent, like a cat that's allowed to go outside. And, as we're talking about making choices for ourselves, like I think sometimes these inside cats would probably choose going outside, even if it means the danger is they get taken by the coyotes, or they get lost, or even driven over, if they could choose for themselves. But anyway, what's different from us to cats is that we feel obliged to each other for the things that to do things for each other. And that is because we depend on other people for our approval, for approval of us, and for being appreciated. That's the way we've been brought up. This is the way we've been taught. We depend on others to feel loved. And so in that moment, then, if somebody asks me to do something that I don't really want to do, then I'll do it in the name of loving my neighbor. But inside me, I don't really agree with the choice I'm making here, right? And so out of that choice comes resentment. Out of that yes that I've given, so that I may have that approval, out of that comes resentment and blame later on. And also those choices often make us feel tired because we're actually holding back from doing it fully, because we think we're already tired. We think we shouldn't have been asked to do this. So that's what happens when we do things that we've been asked to do for the love of, for love. We do it for love without really agreeing to want to do it. And that's that saying, like, today's favor is going to be tomorrow's expectation, right? And so what happens is that today we're saying yes to staying another hour. And then when we're asked again tomorrow, it feels even harder to say no. Because, we did do it yesterday. It wasn't that bad. Of course, I survived. Okay, I can do it again. Obviously, it's needed. And obviously, this is part of my job description. And, I don't, and we really do not like to say no. Because when we say no, what's going to happen? And then what happens if we keep saying yes and keep saying yes? We start to feel overworked. We start to feel resentful. We start to blame the people around us. And we start to feel powerless to change the situation that we're finding ourselves in, of being consistently asked to do more than what we actually want to agree to. And this can happen at work, it can happen in our relationships, it can even happen with our kids. If we let our need for approval and appreciation from others overrule what we think is right for ourselves. So does that mean you shouldn't say yes if somebody asks you a favor? Like, absolutely, that's not what I mean at all. But what you want to do is, before you say yes or no to the favor, is to check in with yourself and say and give an honest yes or no. And this is a really, really important thing to learn, and it's really difficult for many people, because the immediate thing that we want to do is say yes. Okay, I can do it. I want to show up as a hardworking person. I want to show up as someone who can help, part of the team. I can do it. I can cope. Those things happen so fast that we don't take the time to check in with ourselves. And then the work ethic's been drummed into us since school days, not even vet school days, like school days. Hard, it's good to be a hard worker. That's what makes a good student. But is that even true? But we don't actually ever ask ourselves that question. We've been allowed ourselves to be conditioned, and we don't question it. So what happens when I want to say an honest no? Like, I've been here already this many hours, or even like at the beginning of the day. No, today I actually want to get out in time. And then somebody says, can you, this so-and-so isn't coming in, can you stay longer? So what does it look like to say an honest no? And let's make it a little bit easier. You got tickets for a show tonight. So you really want to get out on time. So what's an honest no that would allow yourself to be true to yourself, and at the same time acknowledge that you want to do what's right for the clinic and for others? You could say, I would love to do that for you, and tonight I've got tickets for a show, so no, can't do it tonight. Right? And if you don't have that excuse to want to get out on time, because when we're starting with this honest no, it's good to have an excuse. So if you don't have that excuse, you can say, but you can feel, as you're checking in with yourself, you can feel that unease, that part of you that feels not good about, like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. I love doing that, right? No, not there. So there is this unease, like, oh, now I'm going to have to stay longer again, but I don't want to say no. What you can say is, I don't know yet. Ask me again in an hour. Right now, my head isn't there. I will decide later. Right? And if you say yes, honestly, then you will bring your whole energy into that extra task. It's not going to feel that tiring either. Somewhere I heard the more often you can say an honest no, the more often you'll be able to say that honest yes as well. The yes that brings your energy, authentically, fully into this thing that you've agreed to. So instead of doing this, learning this yes and no, because we're not being taught that, we're not being taught to check in with ourselves and say what we really mean. Even as kids, we're being taught that what the adults are saying is more valid than what we're feeling. So it's no wonder that we haven't learned that properly. So what we then do is we put up boundaries against people. And so it feels like this person is always doing that to me. So I'm no longer going to do that. This is done, no longer. And so this is a wall. And a wall is rigid. It doesn't flow with life. So being stuck behind the wall creates fear and creates more blame and aggression. Because every time this person's going to come and to the wall and wants to like ask a question or wants to engage with you, it feels like they're pushing the wall in. They don't see it because often then we also don't verbalize it properly that there is a wall now. And so we feel attacked from the other side of that wall. And even though we might be more able to say no, it's not a loving no. So boundaries, if you can have boundaries. So yes, it's totally important, as I said before, to be clear on what is right and what is wrong for you. But that is moment to moment. It's not with this person always. It's not in this situation always. It's moment to moment. One night I might be totally happy to stay another 4 hours. Don't have anything on. Get out of cooking dinner. Works well. I'll do it. No problem. And then the next night I might want to get out at 4 because now I'm tired. No particular reason, but this is my truth. This is where I'm at. So allowing ourselves to have those fluid boundaries, that flow with who we are moment to moment, because we don't feel the same today and tomorrow and then the next day. We don't even feel the same in the morning as in the afternoon. Like our emotional states and our inner states are constantly shifting. And so staying in integrity with ourselves and with what we really need, we need to keep a tap on our inner states to be in flow with them. And then we can work out of and act out of the with access to a large amount of energy for ourselves. So this talk, I'm gonna jump into an inquiry right away. So this inquiry is the work of Katie, or inquiry, is the main process that I use with all of my clients. And it's a way of questioning the thoughts that keep us in our old patterns. It's the thoughts that describe the reality that we assume is true for us. And as long as we don't question these thoughts, we continue to act in the old patterns, and it's really hard to change them. But those thoughts can be questioned, and then our habits just shift. We don't even have to do it. It just happens. So one of the thoughts that comes when we've said yes, once again, to something we don't want to do is, they shouldn't ask this of me. So the inquiry, and I'm sure you can find a situation in your work life, with your kids, with your family, where you've had that thought or a similar thought that said, they shouldn't ask this of me. It's not what I should be asked to do. They shouldn't. Why do they? How can they? Right? So find that situation for yourself. Where is it? Like for me, it would be, like maybe the third day in a week in a row that I'm being asked to stay late at work. They shouldn't ask this of me. And so the work of Byron Katie, or inquiry, is nothing more than 4 questions applied to this particular thought within this situation. And we answer the question, and then we learn about what this thought is doing in our lives and how our life could be different without it. So they shouldn't ask this of me. The first question of this inquiry is it true? And the answer for question 1 is either yes or no. And in this particular situation for me, it's yes, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. They asked yesterday and the day before, and why again? Why me again? Should be somebody else. It's not fair. Doesn't feel good. So yes, it's true. They shouldn't ask this of me. And the second question is, can I absolutely know that this is true, that they shouldn't ask me of this of me? And in this question, I am slowing down and considering, is it absolutely true? Can I absolutely know it's true that they shouldn't ask this of me? And so no, there is a little bit of a doubt coming in, like, they need someone. I'm here. I've said yes the last couple of times, so they should. It's not entirely true that they shouldn't ask this of me. And what is it in your situation? Is it true? Can you absolutely know it's true? And then the third question is, how do I react? What happens when I believe this thought, they shouldn't ask this of me? And there is that resentment, the anger that I'm not expressing. I'm going to explode later with that anger when I get home at something that seems trivial then. And while the anger is building up inside me and I feel that resentment, I also feel like I'm collapsing. My energetic field is collapsing. I'm not looking at them, looking away. I don't want to meet their eyes. The way I say yes is something like, yeah, sure. As in letting them know my displeasure at them. And at the same time, not required to stand up for my truth and say no. And I see this happening over and over and over again. This happens all the time. It's like one of the things that's so broken in veterinary medicine. And so as I'm thinking about it, it becomes this huge thing. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and all of it lands on my shoulders. Whew, so it adds to the burden of this extra time that I'm now meant to stay at work. They shouldn't ask this of me. And I really don't like them. They're no longer treasured colleagues or bosses. They're just nasty, uncaring people. And that's how I will treat them for the rest of the day. And then the next morning I might arrive late at work. Or I might not be that nice, saying good morning, carrying it through into the next day. So what is it for you? And if you're watching this recording, then you have time to push pause and sit for a moment with it and consider, how do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? What is your emotions? How do you treat yourself and others? What's your body language? What are other thoughts that are coming up? How do you react? What happens? They shouldn't ask this of me. And then welcome back. And we go into the fourth question. And that question is, who would you be without this thought in that moment? They shouldn't ask this of me. And so here you need to, you want to slow the story, the way the story unfolds in your imagination down and really look at what's happening. What is happening here? If I don't have the thought that they shouldn't ask this of me, what do I see? What's happening? I see someone who doesn't think they have another option. I see someone who feels like they have no choice asking me again. They're caught in the same mental patterns as I am. This is the way it is. We can't send people away. It's the only way, the only option I have open. This is what I see. And I feel compassion. And it's no longer about me being appreciated. It is more now about wanting to help. And so if in this moment I have actually tickets and I'm not going to want to stay, I can say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's such a crap situation. I'm so sorry. And I can't, I won't. I've got plans. But I can still emphasize without the thought that they shouldn't ask me. And so again, if you're watching the recording, you can pause the recording and just consider for yourself, you know, who would you be without the thought that they shouldn't ask this of you? And then welcome back. What we're going to do then with this thought is turn it around. So they shouldn't ask this of me becomes they should. This is the opposite, right? They should ask this of me. And how is that true? Well, they don't have anybody else there. They know I generally say yes. I never normally don't complain. I still do good work, even if I'm staying late. So I'm the obvious solution to the problem they have. They're paying me good overtime money. So yes, they should ask this of me. I said yes often enough. And then another turnaround would be that I shouldn't ask this of them. And so where is the truth in that? What am I asking of them? I'm asking of them to know that I don't want to do it. I'm asking of them to consider me, what I want is more important than what they think is important. Is that a good idea? Is that going to work? And I'm asking of them, I shouldn't ask this of them. That's kind of what I can see. And then I can turn it around to, I shouldn't ask this of myself. And so that's where I'm back at the moment of, why am I saying yes? What is it that I'm wanting to, what I'm wishing to gain here? So I shouldn't ask this of me, shouldn't ask of me to stay longer and oblige if I don't feel like it. Or I shouldn't ask of me to say no if I can't. It's another one. I should be in touch with who and what I am and flow with that. And if I need to learn how to say no better, then that is something I need to practice, not in that situation. But it needs to be practiced out of the situation so that when it happens, I know what to do. I know how to say it. Oh, I'm so sorry you're in that situation and I can't help you tonight. Right? So once again, if you're watching the recording, take your statement and take a moment to turn your statement around for yourself and find examples of how the turnarounds could be as true. And then I'm inviting you directly into another exercise. And this is an exercise that says, I am afraid that if I say no, they will do what? This is where you find why you feel obliged. So make that a list for yourself and just, head it with a sentence. I'm afraid that if I say no, they will. And then just write underneath, just allow yourself to write. It's a journaling exercise. They won't like me. They will be unhappy with me. They will hate me. They will throw me out. They will cut my pay. They will fire me. They will, whatever it is, right? Just write it all down and look at it. Because these are the underlying fears that dictate you not being able to say no and not being able to prioritize your energy levels over someone else's. So once again, I invite you to push pause on your recording and just complete this exercise for yourself. So welcome back. So these fears, there are nightmarish visions of a possible future. And when we look back over our lives, we often having our actions dictated by those fears. And most of the time, they didn't happen. But then we think that they didn't because I acted in the right way. They didn't because I was careful. They didn't happen because I towed the line. But can you actually even know that that is true? We're so scared of the possible disasters in our lives that we end up putting ourselves last all the time. So this statement, love thy neighbor as yourself, You know, the statement isn't a command, really. It's a description of how things are. We love our neighbors as much as we love ourselves. We can't love them anymore. And we don't love ourselves more than the way we treat other people. So your neighbor, that is the person that is right in front of you. It's the person that's asking you to stay late. It's the person that's calling you after hours. This is your neighbor, right? Your husband asking you for help while you've just sank down into the couch. Your neighbor. So you're able to love your husband as much in that moment as you're able to love yourself. And if you're telling yourself that you're finished, that you can't do anything anymore, you need to rest and be not disturbed, then that is what you can show your husband and no more. If we consistently keep saying yes to something that we don't want to do, then what we do is we say yes to those parts in myself that believe that the fear will keep us safe. And doing that in that moment keeps us small. It doesn't allow us to access the whole of our energy that we have. If I am allowing myself to say no, then I say yes to the part that believes myself to be worthy, even if I don't oblige. And this supports my growth. So one more time, let's do something. So go back to a moment when you said yes to doing something that you didn't feel like doing. And again, it doesn't matter if it's at work or you're doing an extra chore at night, even though you would want to rather actually collapse in bed. And feel your body. Notice your body language. Is your head up or down? Like my head would be down, my shoulders would be slumped forward. I wouldn't be looking at that person. I would feel like I'm imploding. My whole energy is imploding and my whole body is tired. I might be holding my breath and I'll definitely not breathe very deeply. And then compare when you said yes to yourself instead. When you said, and I'll make this easy for you. You said, no, I can't do it. And then 20 minutes later, they come past and say, hey, no worries. I found someone who's happy to get the money. How does your body feel then? Light, full of energy. Your body language is open. You're happy. So this energetic difference that you feel when you support you also describes the energetic reservoir you have that is available to you to care for others. So in that way, if you love yourself more, you will love your neighbor more. And you definitely, if you're really, really serious in loving your neighbor, you cannot allow yourself to be a doormat. Because the more you say yes to yourself, the vaster your energetic reservoir will be. And then saying no will be with love for the other person, with respect, and also with total conviction. So I hope this has been a little bit helpful. And if you're interested in digging a little deeper in your own life, you know, finding the places where you're saying yes, even though you want to say no, where you feel obliged, and where, as a result, you feel resentful. You feel like you're not treated with respect. And you want to inquire into that and see what's there for you to learn, so that in the future you can give that yes to yourself. Then consider the radical workshop. And that's going to happen the first session on April 9th on a Saturday. And we're going to look at situations like this and find the thoughts behind it and dive into them with inquiry, so that we understand better our own motivations. And by going through these situations and looking at how can I act differently, then next time it comes up, I have more options. And I'm not that blindsided, you know, by these unconscious or half-conscious motivations that keep me stuck in old patterns. And in that way, you take responsibility for your own life. And you're more and more able to love the other people. Okay, so yep, so that's basically it. You can sign up for that in the events page. There is a link to the workshop. There's also on my website, in the event page on Doormat in the Facebook group. Also on my webpage under events, that workshop is there. And, you know, if you can't find it, please just send me an email, steph@theleaderswork.com. And yeah, and let's chat. And also, obviously, if you want more info on that workshop. All right, have a good rest of your day today. And thanks for visiting.